Welcome to the MyBusiness Podcast, where we sit down with local businesses and we talk about who they are, where they come from, and what inspires them to be in business.
Welcome to the MyBusiness Podcast. Today I have a very special guest, Cameron Wright from Bushido Finance. How are you, Cameron?
Thanks, Rob. Yes, really good.
Okay.
Excited to be here.
Yes, it's excellent. So we've only spent about 10 minutes together before the podcast, and I'm actually really excited about this one because I think you're a bit of a character as well. So we'll try and get that across to the people here.
Right.
Tell us the Cameron Wright story and Bushido Finance.
Well, I suppose it all started back when I got in the industry. 20 years, I was reflecting earlier this week, it's been 20 years. So it certainly has been a journey, a few different courses that we've gone down and paths that sort of taken us to where Bushido Finance is today. But yeah, so I got involved. I was selling advertising at the time. And I sold advertising to a mortgage choice franchise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they said, oh, well, if you can sell advertising, you could probably sell mortgages and you'll make more money.
Yep.
So I thought, oh, well, that's interesting.
Was it right?
Yes, it was right.
That's good.
But also, I felt I could really engage my clients in mortgages, whereas advertising, it's transactional.
Yep.
You see one client, you move on. And this, I felt, this is more in line with my values. So I was excited to join the industry. Didn't have any banking background.
Yep.
I did a business degree, but no real exposure to the banking industry. So it was, a steep learning curve.
It would have to be at the start.
Yeah.
Coming off that background for sure.
That's right. And the good thing about mortgage choice is they do have some excellent training. So it was 2 weeks of intensive training at first, and then over the years we've done diplomas and Cert 4s and so forth that keep your learning going. But it wasn't too long, maybe after 2 years, that I realised I could, really develop my own clientele, build my referral sources, and I felt confident to go out my own. So I've had a couple of iterations of my business model with different business partners before and time away from the industry as well, before setting up Bushido Finance about 2.5 years ago. So it's only been a recent business formation, but it's gone really well.
So you're located here on the Gold Coast?
Yes.
But do you service clients, where your clients come from?
Oh, all over Australia.
Yep.
So a lot of our referral sources are accountants, and they also have a client list across Australia. It's interesting, since COVID happened, you can service clients, anywhere in the world, really.
It's changed, hasn't it?
Has.
It's just amazing now we're a Teams meeting or a Zoom meeting
Yes.
away from any client anywhere in the world.
Oh, mate, I used to go out to, in those early days, before the GFC, I'd have an appointment booked at 5 p.m, 6:30 and 8 o'clock at people's homes.
Yep.
We don't have to do that anymore. And that's annoying. I don't know how many people enjoy having their dinner interrupted by a mortgage broker just sitting
Depends how good the mortgage broker
or
is.
maybe, yeah, you have to be entertaining, that's for sure,
Yeah.
to keep their attention. But now it's so much easier. So yeah, you can do Zoom calls, you can identify people remotely, and with our systems, gather the documents and make it happen more efficiently for clients, more effortlessly.
You said to me before, you said that you spent some time overseas as well, recharging your batteries before you started.
Yes,
this,
before this. Well, actually, it's probably, 2014 to 16.
Yep.
My wife at the time, we separated. She's Brazilian.
Yep.
And so she wanted to go back and live in Rio with her family. She thought this would be a great idea. I haven't been there since I was 20. I can remember all those fun times, and that's where I need to be. And I thought, well, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Kids can really understand the culture. The background, get to know the family a lot better. And so we'd agreed that we'd sell up everything. And I basically lived on a plantation about 100 k's up the coast from Rio. The boys would come and join me on weekends, or I'd go down to Rio at times, and it was a fantastic lifestyle. Did nothing for about a year and a half.
Wow, what an experience! So, I mean, that kind of experience is something that you remember forever, don't you?
You do, yeah, and you don't often get that opportunity to spend quality time with your kids, especially in this industry.
That's right.
So to be able to do that at when they were quite still at late primary school age.
Yep.
Was invaluable for me.
And you only get one chance, so I'm glad to see that you took it.
Yes.
Bushido Finance, tell us the Bushido, the background to the name and everything like that.
Oh, well, the name, it's funny. Now there's about, I think there's about 11,000 brokers in Australia. So most of the good names are taken.
Yep.
When I was searching, okay, what am I going to call this business once I got back into Australia? And so Loans Are Us or something like that. Yep. They're all gone.
Yep.
They're all taken.
And they're pretty tacky anyway.
And they're a little bit tacky. And so, okay, I've got to make it real. What's it mean to me? What I want to instill in this business? And, I reflected that I'd spent a lot of time in Japan. back in my youth.
Yep.
So when I was about 20, 21, I was living there training in judo. Learning that martial art was invaluable for setting up my life values, the philosophy that I live by. And I thought, well, I can introduce that into the work that I have. And the principles of Bushido, which really is the chivalrous code of the samurai originally, and was the formation, I suppose, of the philosophy behind martial arts in Japan. So that's what led me to think, okay, well, I've got a link there, and I think that using those philosophies would be invaluable in instructing how we go about business here in Australia.
That's amazing. And a lot of times you do hear of names and Loans R Us or whatever it might be, and you can see that they've just taken the cheesy option, but you can see the thought behind that, which probably goes a long way to saying the kind of business that you operate as well. Mm-hmm. Because you put in there that you told me that the principles of Bushido are discipline, protection, precision and justice.
Yes.
And when you look at that in the finance industry, that's what you need.
Exactly.
You need someone that's going to look after you and then set you up for the future, so that, installing that discipline into, I guess, even on a review process on your loans.
Yes, indeed.
So being a mortgage broker or a finance broker, I know that you specialise. What's your specialty yourself?
Well, being based on the Gold Coast, a lot of our clients are self-employed, mum and dad businesses, small businesses. So we specialise in helping self-employed applicants get the finance that they're after. It can be a more difficult process if you are self-employed. So having the expertise of someone who specialises in that area can be invaluable to get the outcome that you're after. And that means also linking in with your advisors, your accountants, your legal advisors, financial planners and so forth. So just to make sure that everyone's aligned in what they're doing to achieve an outcome that's in your best interests.
So Bushido Finance looks after obviously mortgages.
Yes.
But what else? There's a whole raft of other things.
Yeah, so it's to do with residential mortgages, of course. So just buying your first home or upgrading. You could be buying investment property. So we certainly do a lot of that kind of work. Then there's business finance, so buying your own premises, whether that be in a trust or company structure or in SMSF.
Yep.
That's an area that's not commonly done certainly not done by the banks these days.
No, they gave up on that.
They gave up on that idea. So there's only non-bank lenders in that area. And so we specialise in helping self-employed applicants look at their super balance, saying it makes a lot of sense to buy the premises that we operate out of. Setting up that structure, working with their financial advisors and accountants. And then there's unsecured commercial finance as well. So, for example, overdrafts or short-term loans to get through a cash flow hurdle, perhaps, those kinds of things. And then finally, equipment finance, so cars, yellow goods, that kind of thing.
It kind of sounds like there's not a single person out there that couldn't benefit from one part of that,
right?
Whether it be mortgages or the business finance as well.
Yes.
What inspires you about this business?
What I like about it is that every day is different. So every client scenario is different. Sometimes I feel like I'm putting together a puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle. So, we get to understand the client, the contours of their situation, what they're looking to achieve. And then you've got to find, okay, look carefully at the lender policies. Where are they going to fit in? How can I marry up their situation with what they want to achieve and banks' appetites?
Yep.
So that's really interesting for me. And to get a solution, especially if it's a bit more difficult, I just feel really proud, and the team then work tirelessly to achieve that outcome over the months that usually follow, and then into the future as we review.
How many different lenders do you keep in touch with?
Well, we're accredited probably with around about 50, but I don't use them all. Yep. I do have my lenders that I know suit certain scenarios. Yep. So I'd probably stick to around about 10 lenders in the main, unless, of course, there's quite a different situation that means I need to go further afield.
Yep.
But 10 in the main.
That's an incredible amount. So when someone comes to you, then they're getting the expertise of 10 lenders basically, because you know the insides of all those policies.
Yeah, and the potential of more if needed.
Yep.
So yes, but we've seen a lot of different scenarios. Obviously, there are sort of standard approaches, standard situations that people have that we've seen before. And so we do have, okay, this is where we're going to lead. We're going to investigate the policies here with these particular lenders, make sure with the BDMs, the business development managers at the banks, that they're going to have the appetite for this particular client. So we do all this pre-work before we even mention what those lenders are to a client, and then present the solution, confident that we're going to get the outcome that we're after.
So when someone comes to you, what do you do? How do How do you sit down with them?
Okay, well, technology's come a long way in recent times. So I was talking about, going to see people in their houses and I'd fill out paper applications, take copies of their pay slips and bank statements or what have you. Nowadays, we do use a lot of technology. So when I'm speaking to a client, I get an understanding of their situation. And first things first, I want to get all the information in. So when I am feeding back to them their options, I can be confident in those. So we share with our clients a client portal. So it's a link via email. They click on that. PIN code sent to their mobile, and it just asks them a series of questions about their situation, personal situation, assets, liabilities, living expenses, that kind of thing. We then have a list of documents. So in that initial conversation, I've worked out, okay, these are the documents we're going to need to verify, what we're looking at. So we give a list of documents, and you can just upload those documents from your computer to the portal. So once they've done that, then we've got all our information there, and we can go through it. The girls in my office assist, and we do the calculations that we need to. And then we're pretty comfortable knowing what those options are. We can then prepare a proposal from that information and share that with the client. Those proposals normally have about 3 different options to consider. And then obviously that can lead into a conversation, either Zoom or in our offices. And if the client's happy to proceed on that basis, signing that off, we've got all the information there ready to push it through to an application, online lender lodgement platform, and we're off and running.
It's amazing that it sounds like you could pretty much make a proposal without even talking to the person if they've got all the right information. Yeah,
that's right. If they've filled in the portal with the information we need, that's all I need. But of course, I do need to understand, where the client's coming from, get an understanding of them. So having a conversation up front is, I think, invaluable.
Well, that's the personal. That's that personal approach. Building that relationship with them, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, understanding what the versions they may have that is not really clearly communicated through a portal, just through documents.
Yep.
What they're looking for, what's their long-term goals, what's their short-term goals. Making sure that we are working towards all of those at the same time if we can.
Okay, so I'm a prospective client of yours. And I'm not really sure. Maybe I should just go straight to my bank.
Yeah.
Why should we use a mortgage professional like yourself?
As I was saying, every client has a different financial profile, if you like. So the chances of you walking into a bank and getting the exact outcome that you're after is not very high. I mean, a lot of our clients, I don't think, could walk into a bank and get it approved a lot of the time. Or if they can, it's for, it's a lesser outcome than what they were after. So the banks will act in their interests, of course. Whereas we're on your side to make sure that you're getting the outcome that you're after, and that still aligns with a particular lender that we're recommending. So, having that expertise means that you're not wasting time going from bank to bank. That can affect your credit rating just by getting hits on your credit file, of course, by simply doing that. We're doing all that initial work for you behind the scenes without going to submit a formal application. We're discussing it with bank representatives or lender representatives. We're double-checking all your paperwork, making sure that aligns with what we're presenting. So there's no hiccups. We can be confident that once we've got a proposal and we've signed off on it, we move forward and it's a smooth process. Going to a bank, it can be frustrating, and that's what we avoid or seek to.
The biggest one you said there was the time situation. We're all time poor these days, so we might as well make Bushido Finance use their time on our behalf.
Well, the Australian consumers have sort of been backing this because when I joined the industry, I think brokers were writing about 33% of all loans in Australia.
Yep.
Now it's 70%. So
70%?
70% of all loans, residential loans written in Australia, are written by mortgage brokers. So, Australians have realised that value. The outcomes have been achieved. It's a no-brainer, I reckon.
One of the interesting things, and people that have listened to this podcast before know that I have a finance background as well, so in the banking industry.
Yep.
So how do clients pay for your service?
Right, well, they don't pay directly in most cases. So a standard mortgage home loan, for example, instead of a bank paying branch and staff costs to write a loan, they pay a mortgage broker to do exactly the same thing. So it comes out of their operational costs either
Probably
way.
Cheaper for them.
It could be in many cases. So, out of their operational costs, they pay for either of those two things to get business in the door, so that their credit managers can review an application. Both come from different channels, but certainly no added cost onto the loan by using a mortgage broker. So if you went directly to a bank in the first instance that we would have recommended, you'd get exactly the same product as what we would be able to organise for you. So there's no cost directly or added onto the loan. Using a broker.
So really there's no reason not to.
Exactly.
With the current market at the moment, like when I say the current market, in the market in general, in finance.
Right.
How often should we be reviewing what we have?
Pretty regularly these days, especially with rates being adjusted quite regularly. Banks can sneak in a little bit of an extra increase on your interest rate, and that may not be competitive anymore. So, we recommend at least every 2 years to review your home loan. Certainly, if you've got a home loan that you've kept for 4 or more years, you're out of the market. You haven't got the most competitive deal. There's absolutely no doubt.
I was in my past life, I used to say to people, you go and get your car serviced, and your car's worth about $30,000 or $40,000.
Yes.
But you leave your home loan just sitting there and doing nothing.
Right.
So why wouldn't you make sure that you're getting the best deal? And what better way than talking to someone who knows the market across the board?
Oh yeah. You got to keep them honest. It's key. I think that was a catch cry from John Simons, wasn't it, back in the day?
It was, and I think he stole it from Don Chipp, I think,
right?
Who was a politician in the 80s.
The Democrats, wasn't
he? The Democrats, yeah. So it's all about recycling, isn't it? So that's
right.
fine.
Yep.
But the same with business finance, I'm guessing.
Mm-hmm.
So we should be reviewing that on a regular basis as well.
Most definitely. Make sure the structures are in line with what your accountant is setting up for you and what your financial planner is planning for you.
Yep. And where do so your business comes from, obviously you'd have referral sources that, and you talked about it before, accountants and businesses like that. But word of mouth, how important is word of mouth for you?
Oh, it's crucial. In this industry, it's all referrals. So people won't come to us unless they probably know someone who's already used us or trusted us. Yep. So a trusted advisor like an accountant who has referred many clients, or a client of ours who has experienced our service. So that's key for our success. So we do everything possible to make sure it's a positive experience. We communicate. That's very important to us, communication. I think that's where banks can let down clients, is not quite getting back to them in time. Whereas that's our goal. I mean, we've got myself and 2 loan processors to make sure that I've got the time. I'm not stuck in doing paperwork. I'm there communicating with clients what's going on and how we can achieve the outcome that they're after.
That is the key for the client, is knowing what is happening. I mean,
it
doesn't have to be the outcome they want, but if they know what's happened.
It may even be saying we haven't got an outcome yet, however we expect it within a certain time frame. So just keeping those touch points going.
With Bushido Finance, and we know that you can speak to people all over Australia. What's the next step for you?
Oh, for my business, I'm looking at taking on another broker. We're near capacity. I never want to get to the point where my capacity is at its limit. Yep. So I've got to be able to have that flexibility where I've got another broker who can take on that work before I hit that capacity limit. Otherwise, customer service drops off. So that's certainly key for us. And the support from the back office, that's also key. So making sure that we're doing all the processes that we need to make sure that your application goes through in a timely and efficient manner.
And what's the most important thing to you about Bushido Finance?
I think the ability to help clients, to be there for them, to see their successes over time, is so rewarding. It's a major aspect of their lives. And hence there's a lot of emotion riding on it. But when you get those wins, you got to celebrate as well.
That's right. I'll never forget. I think it's one of the great honours to be able to help someone, achieve a loan for a house or a business, because they're big things in people's lives.
They're dreams. You're a dream maker.
Wow, you're a dream maker.
In a sense.
Well, you are. You're 100%. That's exactly what it is, and it does feel that way. Cameron, mate, we've already gone our time. Can you believe that?
No, I can't actually.
It's how do people get in contact with you?
The best way probably is just to give me a call or an email. Yep. My number 0487 788 033.
We'll put that in the comments.
Righto.
Below.
And my email. So it's just reaching out.
Yep. And your web address is
bushidofinance.com.au.
Excellent. Cameron, mate, it's been absolutely fantastic. I would love to get you back on a regular basis, to be honest, because I think that we could really dive deeply into specific situations for people as well, and help them out.
I enjoy that.
Mate, look, good luck with everything.
Thanks, Rob.
Mate, and we will see you soon. And anyone who wants to get in contact with Cameron, you can even drop us a line here at Podfire or Meteorate, and we'll put you in touch with Cameron. Beauty. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to the My Business Podcast, brought to you by Meteorate on the Podfire platform. If you want to be on our podcast, please reach out to the team on all our socials at mybusiness.pod.